specifically how to make training in your dealership stick. I'm going to show you how, well, I'm going to explain actually why in the past, all the training that you've had, although good, it somehow evaporated very quickly. And you had to come back and do it again and again and again and again because you guys somehow didn't get it, or they turned over and you had new hires come in, and when they came back in, you had to bring the trainer back to your store and start all over again. So we're going to fix that for you once and for all. So let's begin by talking specifically about what phone training is, or what you experienced before. In most businesses, what you find when you've heard the statistics, right? Where they tell you about the fact that clients at X% come into your dealership looking for a vehicle start on the phone. And X% of them start on the internet. The X% do X, Y, Z. And so the need to become effective on the phone has never been greater than, well, they said never been greater than now, right? First of all, I would say to you it's false. And what I mean by false is that not that the statistics are wrong or that the importance of phone training is wrong. What is wrong is the approach to fixing that problem, because that problem is not the problem. You have more fundamental challenges than that. And before you lose me, just stick with me for a few minutes and I'll explain. How about that? So when you talk about phone training, what you normally hear people talk about, they want to know about, do you have a good word tracks, right? They want to know if you can teach my people process. And they talk about, do you have any scripts, right? And they talk about the need for role playing, right? We talk about role playing. And then they talk about how you're going to master the inbound call. And you can talk about how you're going to master the outbound call. And so when you talk about inbound call, outbound call, you talk about the word track, the process, the scripts, and so forth. What you have is a confused salesperson, a confused individual trying to figure out how to take all of this stuff here and then take it and turn it into some type of action. Right? Hope you can see that. So what happens is that action equates to taking knowledge that we got, right, and then applying it in the marketplace. So when the trainer leaves your dealership, the individual that you sent for training, you spend a whole day or two training, has to remember what that person said. They said to do this at this point, and they said do that and that point. And you have to remember if this customer said this and that customer says that, then how am I supposed to remember all this stuff, right? And so what happened is, this is not bad or wrong, it's something. But let's talk about why this stuff here is part of the problem. You see, you can't just talk about phone training from the perspective that that is a silver bullet, right? The silver bullet you're going to stick into their gun and you go out and going to kill people, well, kill the beast, right, the food, and bring it home for dinner. You have to talk about what happens before you get here. So let's talk about this being step number 2 in the training aspect of what someone needs to know to execute the job, right? If I have these skill sets, someone teaches me the word track, the things I need to say. They teach me the process. This is how you say it. This is when you say it. And they teach you the script. Follow these things and you'll be all right. And then they teach me how to role play. Hey, if they say this, you say that. They say that. If you think about it, just you by yourself, you realize that's a lot to absorb, right? So this is step 2. Now, let's talk about the reason why this stuff right here can't work before I get to step number 1, right? So step number 1 is where we start. Let's go back to step number 2 for a second. You see, what happened is something called human learning and retention statistics. And many of you guys who've gone to college know that within 48 hours of learning anything, right, over half of what you were taught is gone. Bye-bye, right? And so if half of what you taught is gone, then let's talk about what happens 7 days later. 7 days later, over 90% of what you were taught is gone. Bye-bye, right? So if you taught someone all this stuff, crammed it into them, and then said to them, go to work, within a couple of days, half of what you taught is gone, and within a week, most of the stuff is gone, and next week you like a good steak meal that you had today, by tomorrow night you know where it is. Right? So that's why when you say you're going to go out and get a trainer to come into your facility and teach them phone training or show them how to be effective on the phone to master the inbound call, which is just picking up the phone and saying hello, and master the outbound call, calling someone to engage in something, this is why you have to keep, you get the picture? Step number 1, here's the deal. Two individuals, and these individuals come to work from two different backgrounds. One was fresh out of high school, started as a porter, came through your system, and now he's good enough, great guy, he's a salesperson, right? You promote up the ranks, now he's a salesperson. This other guy went to college, learned how to be a nuclear scientist, whatever it is, smart dude, right? And so he now comes into your dealership, he wants to be a salesperson, now he's on tap. And let's add one more guy into the mix. Let's say you have this other guy, he's a restaurant manager like me. Comes out of that environment with that background, comes to your dealership sharp, right? And now he has a job. You got these three individuals who are starting today. These individuals are going to be selling your product. You hire a trainer to come and you teach them how to handle the phones, because you know that if they can't be effective on the phone, then you're going to lose business. Would you agree to that? Yes, you would. Okay, so you teach them this stuff and you realize within a week, two of you guys are gone. They didn't make it, right? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, who knows? They're gone. And all the money you spent on it, it didn't work. They still couldn't do it even after you taught them this stuff, and you want to know why. Let me show you why. There are three things that every training program has to have. The first one is that you have to focus on the specific skills the learner needs to know to do their job. For example, if you're going to be using the phone, the skills that you must have, because on the other end of the phone is a human being, right? You got to learn or teach them people skills. They have to know how to ask questions, listen effectively, understand social styles. They have to have relationship building ability. They got to have the stuff that will allow them to communicate effectively with another human being. Who would agree to that? Yes? Okay, great. So if you teach them, at least have good fundamental people skills, how to handle open and end and close questions, how to use, and you get the picture. If you can teach them that, now they have one element of the process. So now let's go to that's number one. Now we're going to do number two, which is going to be systems, right? So systems equate to the things that are in place that the learner needs to know how to use to be effective at their job. For example, in this particular case, you have to have a CRM software. You have to have a phone, right? You have to have, maybe you have something like a call monitoring or something along that line. You have to have the different marketing sequences and systems that you need within this application. So you have to have some stuff. This stuff is what the individual with the skills is going to use to talk to your people. So if you just teach them how to use the phone and they don't have the resources or the things in here to be able to pick up the phone and get the thing and then go do their thing, then pretty much they're still ineffective unless someone calls them or comes into the dealership. Who would agree to that? Yes? Okay, so if you have the CRM software, which your entire book of business, your database, right, is held, then they can dial it up, pick somebody up. They have to know how to use that one effectively. You have to have a phone system, yes, that is integrated with the CRM application so you can monitor and track the activity. There's got to be a process for that. You get that? Okay, so then you have to have a good call monitoring application. There's lots of great ones out there. I'm not going to recommend any one of them yet. No, not any of them. But here's the deal. If you have a good call monitoring software, then your managers can manage the process called client interaction. Did you follow up with customer A? Yes, I did. Liar. You get the picture? So you are able to handle what exactly it is that you're tasking your individuals to do. So now comes the last piece, the process. So the process is where people get this thing twisted, because phone traffic is a function of lead generating sources, and most people think it's just when someone calls, someone goes out. Effective phone skills, right? Leveraging the phone effectively is a function of learning how to prospect better. Because if you interact with someone outside, calling them and them calling you is out and inbound calls, right? Internet leads being responded to, right? You have service leads coming into this dealership. You have orphan clients being transferred. You have all these lead generating sources coming in and out of the business, that the phone is a centerpiece, right? Outside of going out to them, that interacts with the CRM application that your people need to know how to use to be able to raise your business. So if you have a strategy for increasing your sales within your business, you have to have a combination of step one as part of your core knowledge. that you require your people to learn before you go into phone training. And if you don't do that, you find yourself on this treadmill, the proverbial treadmill, where you have people. Remember that guy, the porter, the nuclear scientist, the cook guy? All these guys come to the table with certain knowledge. But the knowledge they come to the table with is not this or this. So if you teach them only this and omit this, you have someone who, even if you teach them the road to the sale, right, the process for interacting with the client in the dealership, they're struggling to meet the numbers or the objectives that you've assigned to them. Does that make any sense? Let me wrap this up for you. Step one, you got to have core competencies, core skill sets, the required knowledge that the individual needs to know to do their job. If you're selling to people, you got to start out by making sure they know how to communicate effectively with people, build client relationships, manage the activities that they have to engage in every single day, right? You got to make sure they know how to use the systems, the application, the technology that you've invested so much money into. And if you've taught them that and they have that competency, know how to use this stuff, then you have to make sure that all the lead generating sources that they're going to be a part of, they know how it integrates into your CRM process before you put them in that phone class. It's critically important.